grand finalists. We've ended in perfect time, and we have some time now for questions. And I realise this is the second time that you've given these presentations, so if you asked a question last time and you weren't satisfied with the answer, just hold it back and maybe think of a different question to ask. So, who would like to ask a question?
I have a question to Hassan. Regarding your experimental setup, why did you choose to fly the accelerometer instead of a load cell? Because I thought that if the support of the skull was infinitely rigid, I was not expecting very much acceleration inside the head. So this is the first question. The second is, didn't you repeated the bare head impact after all the tests just to check that nothing was changing inside the silicone gel?
Thank you for the question. For the second question, the answer is no. I did 30 drops for the bare head condition and then followed by each material. And for the first question, the reason behind we did the fixed skull test because we want to eliminate the other factors that contributing to the acceleration of the gel. That explains why we fixed the bottom of the skull. And the reason why we did not use the load cell is because the acceleration of the brain is one of the indicators of brain injury. It's not the force on top of the frontal skull. So, for example, if you want to calculate the head impact criterion (HIC), it involves the acceleration of the brain as well as head impact power (HIP). So that is the reason behind why we want to measure the acceleration instead of the force exerted on the frontal skull. That answer your question?
Very briefly. In that case, for the HIC, the head is free of movement. In your case, it was fixed. So the acceleration to the accelerometer comes from the deflection, from the deflection of the skull upper surface, in my interpretation, or to the not infinity stiffness of the support. So that's why I was a little confused by the approach. But however, I understand the comparison is clear, and I understand maybe that the force load cell could have been giving the same results on the screws.
But there will not be a problem to incorporate a load cell in our experiment, so maybe we could do that in the future. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll be fair and offer two questions to Nadine. The first question is a simple one. Looking at your test form there that you say you machined out of a piece of EVA, comparing that to an actual EVA midsole in a shoe, one difference that leaps to mind is the difference in the boundary conditions, essentially. In an actual shoe where the EVA has been molded, you have a finished edge, whereas in your machine sample, it's completely open cell all the way around. Did you take that difference into account when examining the results of your aging experiments? And then my second question is, could you explain for us briefly the tie-in between chemical breakdown and the rupture of cell faces?
Quick reminder on the first question because I started answering the second one in my head.
The first question was regarding the open face.
Yes. Okay, edge effects, yeah. So certainly we did acknowledge the edge effects, and we did take this into account. Actually, there was the first experiment that I did in my preliminary work was looking at all different diameters in relation to the platen. The platen that we had was 100 millimeters, and so we ended up deciding on using a diameter that was smaller than the platen, just so we were only looking at compression rather than shear and edge effects. However, the experiments that I've done since this one, we've moved up to a cut-up of a shoe. So it took like harvested the same diameter out of a shoe, and then all the way up to a full shoe. So in my dissertation, I'm going to be publishing that progression so that you can start to understand the edge effects. And then regarding the cell faces and the EVA breakdown, I think that I'll answer this and tell me if this is the direction that you're asking the question. So the EVA polymer, so polymer chains, if it's a thermoplastic, which means not cross-linked, you can have the cell faces break without necessarily bond scission happening. And this is a very important point. But because the EVA is partially cross-linked, I believe that it's cross-linked enough such that cell breakage would inherently have bond scission occurring. And the reason that I believe this is because every solvent I've tried in our entire lab to dissolve the foam, I've been completely unable to dissolve it. So essentially, that's why my description of the polymer chain being stretched, leading to bond scission, which then leads to cell face breakage, would be appropriate.
Okay, I'm very aware of time, so I was asked if anyone got a question for Gail to finish off. Great.
It's clear to me what yaw of a sled is if it were on say, a hockey rink that's flat. It's presumably the angle of the long axis of the sled relative to some fixed inertial line. But I don't believe either I missed it or I'm not sure I saw what your definition of yaw was in the paper, and I was wondering if you could explain that, please.
Yes, it's the rotation of the sled normal to the surface about the z direction, again, relative to the centre of the sled.
Relative to what?
So your rate is the rate of change, obviously, of the z axis normal to the sled centre of reference frame, inertial reference frame, on the surface of the ice, but normal to the surface of the ice. So it's moving, obviously, on the surface of the ice relative to the sled reference frame.
Okay. Is that all? Can we all thank our speakers again? I believe we're going straight into the next session now, so